All right, this is the first view we see in Teradata Studio. On the top, we have these top menu of file options. Then we have the Studio toolbar. Then here we have the Data Source Explorer. This is where we can see all the objects that we are connected to through our connection. We have the database connections, and in our connection, we have this user. So we are using the DBC user. And then within our connection, we have the databases. Let's take a look. Here we can see the database objects. Next, we have the Project Explorer, which is for saving files and projects. We'll go back to the Data Source Explorer. And then here we have different windows. Before we get to this, let me show you that don't worry about if you misclick something or you delete something. You can always click this Windows and then choose the Reset Perspective, and you're going to get everything back. So don't worry about messing anything up. All right, so here at the top, we have the SQL Editor, which is where we write our SQL code. So let's say select current time, and I'm gonna click this play button to run that. And there we go, this works. Here we have the main viewer of our results. This is where we can see our results, Teradata result set viewer. And if I run this again, and I'm gonna click this play button, it's gonna create more tabs. All right, and we have some options to customize this Teradata result set viewer. Here in the bottom, we have the Teradata SQL history. Here we can see information about our submitted queries. For example, the timestamp, user, the results, the row counts, and so on. And then here at the top, we have the perspectives. So the first one is administration, which is for DBA tasks. And then we have the query development, which is what we'll be almost always using. And then the data transfer, which is for importing to our database objects or exporting from them. Okay, so that's an overview of what we see on the screen. Now let's see how to run our codes. So let's say we want to write some select statement. Let's see what we have in our databases. Here on the left side, we can open the databases. You see these human icons, which are for users. They're also databases. So databases can be users as well. The difference would be that a database does not have a password, but a user needs to have a password when you create them. All right, so let's check DBC. DBC is a very useful database, and I'm logging in, and probably you are logging in as the DBC user as well. There are a lot of good views that you can get an overall sense of what goes on in your system. DBC plays a database control role, so you can see, for example, the access tables here or views, and then you can see, for example, space of each object. So many tables that give you an overall view of your database. So for example, the databases. So let's run a query against this. Let's see what we have in that table. So select everything from DBC, which is the name of the database, and then the name of the table is databases. So now if I want to run that, I can highlight this. One way to run your query is to click F5. So if I click F5, I can see my results here. Or another way is if I just, even if I'm not on this and I click F5, it still runs that. If I have multiple queries here, so let's say I have select database, select everything from DBC databases, and I have select current date. Now, if I run these, it's probably, it's going to give me an error, or it's not going to even run. The reason is, if you're running multiple SQL statements, you've got to have a semicolon after each statement. Now, after this one is not as important, even though practically speaking, the right way is to have one after each one too. So we ran this, and now we can see both results. So these last two tabs were added after I ran this. So let me empty all these tabs. And now let's say we want to see the current time as well. Okay, so one way again is to select everything and hit F5. If your keyboard has a function button, you might need to press Fn and F5. But the bottom line is that your Teradata Studio needs to get an F5 command and then it runs it. So now I ran that, I clicked F5, and now I see three results, three tabs. One is for the first one, the second one for the date, third one for the current time. The other option is to click Alt, Control, and X all together. So if I do that, I'll get another set of results. That's what I hit now. So you can see that these three were run, and then this last one has all my three result sets. So let me delete these. So notice that if I highlight these and click Control Alt and X, it doesn't care that I'm highlighting only these two. It's gonna execute everything on the screen. So it ran the first statement as well. So if I click F5 now, F5 does the same thing. If anything is highlighted, it's gonna only run that part. If not, it's gonna run everything. Also notice how the Control Alt X puts all the results in one tab, but if you do F5, it's a different format, puts them all in equal top tabs instead of one parent tab. I hope you learned something from this video. Thanks for watching.